Because we already see it right there. Salvation has already been won. So there's no reason for us to be fighting. So God kept on telling me, why are we fighting each other? So you may not agree with that person. That person may not be saved. But again, that fight is not in flesh and blood. We are supposed to be fighting that spirit that's in them. Again, it's not to say that we just let everything be square, but there's a point where you gotta be thinking, am I really fighting on God's behalf, or am I fighting just because I want to be right? Salvation is not a reward. So it doesn't matter how many people in the comments you KO, it doesn't matter how many YouTube videos you put up, calling this person out, or you go still love them and fight the spirit behind them. What sense does it make for me to sit there and fight with my children? They don't know any better. Yes, they know, but in the same breath, they don't know. Once, if I have the truth, if I have the keys to this whole entire thing, why am I getting down in the dirt with you? We need to be worried about, where's my soul going? We're doing what God is supposed to tell us to do, correct? So if that's the case, as long as I'm in my lane where God wants me to be at, I'm doing the right thing. It doesn't matter if they don't love you. It doesn't matter if they don't like you. You have to make sure you do your part. That doesn't mean that you get to pick fun at everybody else. Again, call what is right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. We're not going to compromise our character in God. Okay, you need to die, and I need to die to this. You need to cut this out. You need to do this. You need to up this. There's always, it's a daily thing side of eternity. There's always another step. There's always more progress. There's always another little bit more of love that we get. Because again, God is infinite. So for me to think that I have conceptualized God at this point, at 31 years old, makes no sense. There's so much love there. There's so much compassion there. There's so much more He's willing to give to us. If you are willing to take that, if you're willing to press a little bit harder, just because God says, okay, this is not what we do, this is not how we do things, that does not mean that you get to just blast that person, that you get to just waste them out, that you get to just take their name through the mud. No, there is a process of how God wants to handle things. So just because you may not have that same sin, that does not mean that you get to beat them up here. But more so, when you're out there, you're a representation of Christ. So the only thing you put out is just unforgiveness, anger, bitterness, pettiness. Is that right? No, it's not right. God is so much more better. God is so great. He does not care about your ego. He does not care about your paycheck. He cares about your soul. So we cannot allow our human sense of anger to pollute what God is trying to do. If you're moving completely out, just in your flesh, you're just throwing hands, you're just cussing people out, you're just sending angry messages. You're not walking in what God wants you to walk at. But the problem is this. We say, oh, that's a problem, so now I'm going to handle it. God's saying, no. You don't handle it. I handle it. Let God handle it. Let Him walk it out. Again, we have to pull ourselves out of the driver's seat. God would say, okay, you walk up to this line, there you go. Now hand it off to me. Okay, you're so busy running. You're never going to get the next word that God wants for you. You're never going to get the next word that He needs for you. Going. You think you're doing God's will, but guess what? God already told you, get off the wheel, bro. We're not supposed to be perfect. Don't get it twisted. We're not supposed to be perfect. But again, there's a way to step, there's a way to walk when you're walking with Christ. So then even though you are imperfect, God's light still shines through you. People don't think you're credible. You're talking to yourself. God will present a problem. You can fix it. You can move it around, whatever like that. But ultimately, He has to solve it. God wants you. God wants to be so close to you. You have to be the one to say, okay, God, I hear you. Okay, God, I'm going to move like you want me to move. Okay, God, I'm going to do what you asked me to do. Okay, God, I'm going to step back what you told me to step back. Pieces are in place. Everything is in the proper alignment. So you have to do what God wants you to do, not what you want to do. Amen. So just because you're going through trials and tribulations, it does not mean that God doesn't love you. It does not mean that God has forsaken you. It does not mean God has put you on the back burner. If anything, God is showing you, hey, you keep pushing through, I'm right there with you. Amen. Because you're going through, that means I'm that much closer to you. But you won't see it if you keep allowing these trials to beat you up. If you keep calling yourself a victim, if you keep calling yourself broken, if you keep doing all these negative things and not allowing God to speak through you, rather we fix our gaze on things that cannot be seen. For the things we see now will soon be gone, but the things we cannot see will last forever.